Most of us are taught just to be consumer, and that's it. We're never taught to do anything else. If I have cash, I need to spend it. I have $500 in my bank account, I gotta make that zero. If I have $1,000, I gotta spend it. Because we think, oh my God, if I had 10 grand, I would go on this nice vacation. If I had 50 grand, I would buy this car. We think in terms of, it's that consumer mindset of, if I have this money, I need to spend it. But this is where we have to break out of that and understand, what can we do differently? And instead of just spending all of this money, and it's much more difficult now because of the higher cost of living, but it's so much more important now than ever, where you got to create this margin. I call it like an equation where, your wealth is really, you take your income minus your expenses, and that's equal to your investments plus your savings. So you take your income, whatever money you make, you subtract your expenses, your houses, your home, your clothes, your car, whatever your expenses are. And if you have some money left, either this money is going to be saved or it's going to be invested. Well, if you have some money left, you're already, doing something that a lot of people are not doing. You're more than the majority of people. Right now, I just read a study yesterday. 7 out of 10 Americans across the board are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of Americans that are making $250,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. It's not how much money you make, it's what you do with the money you make that is so important. And so now, if you have a buffer, you're already better than the majority of people. Now the question is, what do you do with it? Well, we're taught, save it. Save all of it. So your investments are zero, and your savings, you're trying to grow that, thinking that you're gonna become wealthy. But you're never gonna be able to outsave inflation. Your savings are literally making you poorer each and every day. However, you don't want to just not save any money. You got to be strategic with it. What I like to say is, there are 3 reasons why you should be saving money. You save money for an emergency, have somewhere between 3 to 12 months worth of expenses, depending on your risk tolerance. Save money for a big purchase. You want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, you need some cash to do that. Save money for an investment. If you're not saving money for one of these 3 reasons, you are saving your money the wrong way, and it's making you poorer each and every day. Talk about retirement. We're about to face a big retirement crisis, because traditionally retirement was what people like to call a 3-legged stool. You had your Social Security, you had your pension, and then you had your own investments or your savings, what a lot of people like to do. Well, pensions are something you only read in history books anymore. They're a thing of the past. So those don't exist anymore. Social Security is running into a very, very, very big dilemma, because right now, if you are, under the age of 45, the Social Security money that you're paying isn't gonna go to fund your Social Security income. It's going to fund somebody else to retire, because the Social Security program has much bigger expenses than income. And so it is on the path of being completely dried up, of just running out of money. But for me, it was a hustle, right? It was the only way that I knew to kind of start making some money. And so it's how you start and you learn. And each one of the things that you kind of do, you're going to learn something new, and you're going to be able to apply that to the next thing. And it really is that shift. I call it the minority mindset, thinking differently than the majority of people, because it's doing something different. You're going to see, like, holy cow, things can and will go wrong. So just anticipate it, because it's your real life tuition. You got to be willing to learn. And it's a price to pay. And it's one of those things where, just like with entrepreneurship, everybody wants to be successful as an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be rich. But how many people are going to be willing to get punched in the throat and keep going, keep getting back up and keep doing it? It's very difficult, which is why, not everybody should be an entrepreneur. Try it, but it's not for everybody. But everybody can work to own this equity, right? This ownership, these assets, and everybody needs to. You have to be willing to work hard. But you also have to be willing to work smart. I can't stand when people say, work smart, don't work hard. You have to do both. Because if you're not willing to work hard, your smart working is effectively worthless. You have to be willing to apply both together. And I had none of this, financial education, right? For me, it was, Dad, I want to go invest in real estate. You're stupid, go become a doctor. I had to do all my entrepreneurial stuff in secret. My parents didn't even know that I was doing this business stuff until I was on the news. I was running a different sock company. And this is now, a couple of years after. And we were doing well, and we got featured on the local news. Now, my parents got a call from a family friend. And they said, oh, we saw your son on the news. And my parents were like, oh God, what did he do now? And they're like, no, he has this company, he's doing really well, they're growing. And my dad was like, what? And so now, he sits me down, he's like, what the heck is going on? And that was the first time they were like, okay, you can actually do something with this. For me, it was like, I understood what I wanted. I knew that I saw this like really, I wanted to achieve success. And I knew I was doing it for good intentions. I knew I didn't have like bad intentions with what I wanted to do. But the question was, how do I get there? Because it was like, if I try to convince my parents, it is like, it's going to be extremely stressful for me. I'm going to stress them out. But I was like, this is why I have to figure it out. It was a mission because one, I wanted to give back to my family and myself. And second, I wanted to do it because I wanted to prove a lot of people wrong. And I remember when I used to talk about this, everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't do it out of spite. Don't do things because you want to prove someone wrong. I was like, you don't understand. You don't get some of the things that you hear, the things that you see. And sure, maybe it can't drive you forever, but it can take you, that pain of seeing the things that people say to, because, in between, I started a sock company. And when I was doing the sock business, this is when, people started to be aware that I was an entrepreneur, and I wasn't like super successful. I was doing okay. And that's when I got on the news. But, just think about this. I was supposed to be a doctor. Now here I am selling socks on the internet. And everybody is like, oh, so you left, this idea of becoming a doctor. Now you're just selling socks. And, hearing that for years, it's like, one day I'm going to have your kid want to work for me. And that was like in the back of my, I never said that, but I was like in the back of my mind, your kid's going to want to work for me one day. And it's like that driving force where I know I'm going to prove this person wrong. I'm going to make this person like really like see that, hey, I am worthy. I can do something. But it takes a lot of work, going back to that. But with anything, being willing to try, being willing to take risks, being willing to make mistakes, and being willing to learn from it. Because, like I said, for me, I was willing to be dumb or stupid. I never saw that risk until more recently, because for me, it was just like, I know this is what I want. And so the risk really was never even on my horizon. If I had a business idea, I would start it like that same night. Because for me, it was like, I want to do this. I want to figure it out. Books were kind of giving me an idea. My teachers weren't teaching me this. I don't know who to turn to. My experience was my teacher. That's how I learned how to be an entrepreneur, how I learned to start investing. That's when I started learning about money, because the whole issue with the money stuff, this is something that we're never, ever even remotely taught about. And it's now becoming a real pressing issue. Because for me in the beginning, it was just figuring it out. I went from business idea to business idea to business idea, because for me, I was just trying to figure it out, hopping from one idea to the next. It was really driving my passion and my mission and my purpose. And that became more of the light energy, because now, after a certain point, you're like, the money doesn't drive you. It just is what it is, right? It's just like, I'm fine. Like I'm not a very materialistic person. I don't really care, about brand names, designer names. The first time I made $1 million, I was driving a $500 car, right? It just doesn't matter. Sure, it provides some sort of benefit, more comfort, more value, but after a certain point, that money is not a driver. It's now, what is my purpose? For me, this was like really fun and something that I loved doing, which is why I did it.
Jaspreet Singh is the founder and CEO of a successful tech startup and is a respected leader in the tech industry. He is an amazing person with a real passion for life and a strong desire to succeed. His friendly and outgoing personality makes him great at connecting with people and building meaningful relationships. He is also a great collaborator and an excellent communicator, making him an ideal problem solver. Jaspreet's enthusiasm and dedication are what make him such an invaluable asset to any organization. He's fully committed to the projects he works on and always strives to make a positive difference in the community. He is a true inspiration and a shining example of what hard work and dedication can bring. Jaspreet Singh is a hard-working and passionate individual. He has a knack for problem-solving and is always eager to take on new challenges. With an outgoing personality and a drive to succeed, he has accomplished a lot in a short period of time. He has a strong work ethic and is committed to delivering success. He is also known for his dedication to helping others and making a positive impact in his community.